All right, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says her Green New Deal will save the planet. In exchange, we just give up cars and airplanes and rebuild every structure in the United States. We'll also, by the way, need to invent brand new forms of energy that science hasn't conceived of yet. How much will this cost? That's unclear. How will we pay for it? Unknown. Who will make this happen? Well, workers, obviously, though anyone who is, quote, unwilling to work will still get paid by the government. In other words, not all of the details have been ironed out as of tonight, and that's why we're grateful that Robert Hockett is here. He's a law professor at Cornell. He's advising Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the Green New Deal, and he joins us. Professor, thanks very much for coming on. So can I just ask the obvious question, why would we ever pay people who are, quote, unwilling to work?
We never would, right? And AOC has never said anything like that, right? I think you're referring to some sort of a document that some doctored document that somebody other than us has been circulating.
Oh, I thought that came right from her. That was in the background or from her office, is my understanding.
No. She's actually tweeted it out to laugh at it. If you look at her latest tweets, it seems that apparently some Republicans have put it out there. I don't know the details.
Good. Well, then thank you for correcting me. I mean, because it seemed a little ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as the idea that we're going to build enough light rail to make airplanes unnecessary, which I think actually is from the plan.
I don't know where you got that either, Tucker. I actually believe that you're actually on our side about this if you actually read the actual plan, right? There's nothing about getting rid of anything. It's about expanding menu options, right? I mean, there are many, many things we want to be able to do now in addition to what we already do. So where's the airplane disappearance coming from? I'm not really clear on where that originates.
Well, I could actually get it for you. This is
that would be great.
Frequently asked questions released by her office. And I'm quoting from it. Maybe this is fraudulent, in which case I hope you'll correct me. But it says that the Green New Deal would, and I'm quoting, totally overhaul transportation, and that would mean, quote, building out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel would stop becoming necessary. Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono responded to that by saying that would be hard for Hawaii. So I don't think that's made up. The senator from Hawaii
but I mean, it apparently is being misunderstood, right? We're really talking about expanding optionality here. We're not talking about getting rid of anything, right? We're talking about basically making it cost-effective to move into more modern forms of technology, more modern forms of production, which would then enable people actually cost-effectively to transition to that stuff. We're not talking about requiring anything or prohibiting anything. That's sort of 1980s style environment.
Okay, but hold on. I don't want you to back away from what she herself has said. And all of this with the caveat that, you know, a lot of this won't happen, maybe none of it, but these are the ideas that she's articulating. She did so on NBC last week.
I promise you, Tucker, I won't back away from anything she said. Indeed, we're pushing forward, right?
Then she said, well, yeah, at high speed.
Very high speed.
That we're going to supplant all fossil fuels in 12 years.
Yes.
So
yes.
Okay, so that doesn't
mean prohibiting them. It means rendering them obsolete by doing something better. And we can do it. This is America.
Then good. Then I'm glad.
And
it's nice to have a smart person on the show to explain this. What about air travel, which is critical to our economy? This is a continental country.
It stays the same.
Okay,
right?
but no, because that requires fossil fuel.
We're talking about carbon neutrality. Remember, we're talking about net zero emissions. That doesn't mean that there's never any burning of anything, right? I mean, until we come up with solar panel flying airplanes, of course, we're not going to...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to correct. Because this seemed like we were making news on the show. The unwilling to work thing was in her backgrounder. That has been absolutely confirmed. You're saying no.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay, so NBC and lots of other news outlets are saying that was in the background, and you're saying it's fraudulent.
That's erroneous, right? Now, there might be new details now that you know about that I don't, because I've been doing media all day. But the story all day...
Yeah, I think that was actually in the document. I read it as it came out.
Well, it's the wrong document, Tucker.
It's definitely the wrong document.
That's not us. No, we certainly don't believe in anything like that, right?
We're not getting rid of fossil fuels, actually, even though you just said we were.
Because we're rendering them obsolete for most purposes they're used for now, right?
But air travel is a huge source, source.
Hence the word most before, right? We eliminate them for most purposes for which they're used now. By rendering them obsolete.
So I've got 2 gasoline-powered cars at home.
But imagine how much better it's going to be when it's cost-effective to drive electric cars. But that can't be done simply by individuals, right? You have to coordinate. You have to have charging stations everywhere. And, of course, individuals can't do that, right? So in that sense, the government is acting like a kind of orchestra conductor here, here. We're trying to coordinate some of that stuff that can only be centrally coordinated and then enable everybody to act individually within that framework, right?
Yeah, that doesn't, I don't fully understand what you're saying, but let me just, I mean, on the low end, this would be the most expensive thing that the United States has ever undertaken, including rural electrification, the Second World War. And I'm just kind of wondering, in a country that's got more debt than it has GDP, how would we pay for that?
Well, here's the key, right? Remember that we racked up enormous debt to finance the Second World War effort and the New Deal and, of course, the interstate highway system in the 50s. But here's the key point. Here's a takeaway. I want you to remember this. I hope everybody will remember this. Remember that inflation is a relation, right? It's the relation between the quantity of money and the quantity of goods. Now, if the money that you're spending is resulting in the production of a great many more goods, you have no inflation problem. More production absorbs more expenditure. The problem with the $7 trillion that was spent during the Bush years and, of course, the last tax cut was that it wasn't actually productive. But note that even that didn't bring about inflation.
Okay, we're still not getting close to it. And by the way, I'm just getting all this in my ear, and we're actually going to follow up on this next week. That unwilling to work line, which you're obviously embarrassed about, and you should be, of course.
No, I'm not embarrassed. It's just not us. It's not embarrassing. No, Tucker. No, Tucker. No. We're not embarrassed by what's not ours. No, Tucker. We're not embarrassed by what's not ours. Okay. We want to clarify that it's not ours. Yes, we are.
We're going to prove it one way or the other, and I hope you will come back.
I will.
Professor, thank you.
Thanks so much.
I'm glad. I'm always grateful when people on the other side come on, including you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. As I have always said, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. After a 2-year inquisition, the charges today relate in no way to Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other illegal act in connection with the 2016 campaign. I am falsely accused of making false statements during my testimony to the House Intelligence Committee. That is incorrect. Any error I made in my testimony would be both immaterial and without intent. I find it disturbing that the special counsel's office released a press release prior to informing my attorneys that I would be charged today. This morning, at the crack of dawn, 29 FBI agents arrived at my home with 17 vehicles with their lights flashing when they could simply have contacted my attorneys, and I would have been more than willing to surrender voluntarily. They terrorized my wife, my dogs. I was taken to the FBI facility, although I must say the FBI agents were extraordinarily courteous. I will plead not guilty to these charges. I will defeat them in court. I believe this is a politically motivated investigation. I am troubled by the political motivations of the prosecutors. And as I have said previously, there is no circumstance whatsoever under which I will bear false witness against the president, nor will I make up lies to ease the pressure on myself. I look forward to being fully and completely vindicated.
Did you in any way cooperate with the special counsel's office? Did you in any way cooperate with the special counsel's office?
Since I was not contacted prior to the charges today, and my lawyers have not talked to the special prosecutors, I don't want to address that question, but I have made it clear I will not testify against the president. Because I would have to bear false witness against him.
Will you work with the prosecutors?
I will be appearing for an arraignment in D.C. next week, and I'll address those questions at that time.
The president said that you had done that. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I intend to tell the truth. I have told the truth through this entire proceeding, and I will prove that in a court of law.
How strong is your allegiance to President Trump?
I am one of his oldest friends. I am a fervent supporter of the president. I think he is doing a great job of making America great again.
Roger, did anyone tell you to contact, in the Trump campaign, to contact WikiLeaks?
No, I've addressed that before. That is incorrect.
When you look at the indictment, it suggests that if you were convicted, do you think the president held pardon you?
Pardon me?
If you were convicted, do you think the president would pardon you?
The only person I've advocated a pardon for is Marcus Garvey.
So from NBC News, sir, the question is, did you in any way work with the Russians to help President Trump?
Categorically not. No, absolutely not.
And the prosecutor, the special prosecutor,
We got you, Roger.
is gathering
We got your back, Roger.
Will you in any way?
With all due respect, I haven't even had a chance to read the indictment.
You haven't even read the indictment.
Correct. My attorneys have. I have not had that opportunity.
So will you help the prosecutor to answer his question?
I will address those questions next week in Washington, D.C.
Roger,
Thank you.
if you didn't do nothing wrong, what are you